Hello everyone, Laboratory Tech 13 here from the RIPTIDE Project Laboratory, and they just don't listen. They just don't listen. Hello everyone, this is of course Laboratory Tech 13 here from the RIPTIDE Project Laboratory, and today I have a very special video for you. This is actually going to be me doing my reactions over the latest weekly MTG stream that happened on Thursday, October 1st. I do believe it's the 1st, right? Am I correct? Yes, the October the 1st. And yeah, so basically, just to preface before we start this watch, my reaction to it, is they decided to have a stream where they wanted to go over the reasoning behind the Secret Lair of the Walking Dead and Secret Lair of the Walking Dead, sorry. And this has not been really received well. A lot of the community just does not like this product, especially for the fact that it sets a very dangerous precedent where they decide to print things that are neat and allows them to open up to other IPs to print other mechanically unique cards. Like, there's a lot of concern over what the tie-ins might be coming up in the future. And to be honest with you, as a core Magic the Gathering player, it's extremely difficult to watch them do these sorts of things and then just kind of ignore the core player base, like their opinions on it, right? I mean, obviously they hear us, but are they actually listening, right? That is the question you have to ask yourself. And this is extremely troubling. And, you know, it just reeks of decisions of higher corporate that want to grab a bunch of money from outside the player base for other casuals to get into the game and play with stuff from their special IPs that they want to, which is entirely fine if the cards were reskinned like the Godzilla cards that did quite well. It actually, from what I heard, saved Ikoria. But the biggest problem with it is that, you know, releasing mechanically unique cards, things that you can't get anywhere else, is a very tough pill to swallow. And I just want to go over some of the stuff in the video for you and just show you my reactions to the things that are being said. So give me just a moment here and we'll go ahead and go over that. I'm really kind of dismayed at the sorts of things that are going on here. But yeah, so I'll just go ahead and switch over to the watching so we can watch it together. You can see my reactions in the corner as things come up. But yeah, this is pretty bad. I'll just preface it right now. There's a lot of condescension in here. There's a lot of, well, maybe you should just not buy it, or, you know, there's no apology, right? So let's just go over it. I'll go through it a little bit. You can let me know. This is just kind of like in the comments below how you think about it. Of course, like and subscribe if you want to see more reactions to stuff like this. This is something new that I'm trying. But, I mean, yeah. Let's just go ahead and start it.
Originally planned for this week, because earlier this week we began revealing a new secret lair,
where's the sound?
The Walking Dead. It is a new experiment,
both
for Secret Lair and for Magic as a whole.
Okay.
Now, typically, when we do something new like this, we introduce our philosophy. Sometimes
he's talking about
our article, and we talk about our thinking behind the scenes, why we did this. You know, this knob we turned.
They're
this
kind
thing
of
we did. And like we did that recently with set boosters and collector boosters, but this time we didn't do that. So today we are here to rectify that.
And if you'll notice while watching this, they are very
by Aaron Forsyth and Mark Hagen. Over the next hour, I'm going to be asking them a series of questions, being basically to get their thinking around Secret Lair specifically,
like they
new products
know that it's going to do something weird here. And the problem that I have with it also,
the Secret Lair Walking Dead.
The problem I have here is actually where they're putting a lot of pressure on the commander group that runs the commander group and the rules committee, right? And they're going to put up a statement about it, and I'll have a video for that too tomorrow, but this is serious. Like, this is dire.
We've been reading a lot of comments online and a lot of questions, and so I'm going to be asking a lot of those questions.
You don't have to watch the full video because I'd rather show you my reactions on certain things that are being said and just give more thoughts on it.
We're going to try to get to it over the course of the hour, so hold tight if it's not right up front. Hopefully we'll get to it. So we're going to be talking about the borders. We're going to be talking about story canon. We're going to be talking about why we're working with The Walking Dead. We're going to be talking a little bit about the future. And so hopefully along the way, we're going to answer a lot of your questions. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. We'll start with secret layers generally. And we're going to start, this is kind of a question for both of you, but we'll start with Aaron. Magic has seen a lot of changes over the past few years, particularly in our product lineups. So before we dive into secret layers specifically, can you talk a little bit about how you view Magic and the Magic ecosystem, and what the studio's philosophy is on creating new products and your motivation to create new things?
So let me just stop them right there. So this next bit is, in my opinion, the worst way to start off this video. Not having an apology, not letting us know that they're sorry, that they came out with a product that was universally reviled, immediately disrespecting the core community of Magic and just basically going after casuals and stuff like that where they just don't have any answers. This whole next bit, I'm going to warn you right now, if you watch the VOD on yourself or on YouTube, by the way, they're not allowing comments or thumbs up or thumbs down on their video, so they know they're doing something wrong. They basically just talk about what is Secret Lair and why you should buy it. Shameless. Absolutely shameless. And this is my criticism. Like, I have to say this because it is important that they hear this, right? Like, I'm not calling them names. I'm not telling them they're bad people. I'm just saying that the considerations being made toward the Magic the Gathering community are not being considered. And this is something that the community has to say back to them. You need to understand this criticism. Thank you for watching the video with me, though. So I appreciate if you're watching this video right now. I've got a lot of emotions over this, and I'm glad that you can at least see them as I watch this, but let's continue.
Yeah. I think it's worth starting by acknowledging that currently Magic is doing historically well right now, despite the pandemic, which we thought could have put a big damper on things. But
so to open with, basically, here's the numbers. Like, numbers are great. Our numbers are going up. Our numbers are going up. Like, that is the worst thing possible. Like, you're basically talking to your shareholders, right?
We're rocking, the game's rocking, the environment is rocking despite all that. And I want to thank, all of you out there for making that true. You're the one spending your time and money on our game right now when all the rest of the world is haywire. And that's just awesome. And, the things that we've done, I think, to help with that is we've gotten a lot better at aiming stuff at specific segments, sometimes underserved segments of the audience, whether that's making products for people that love certain formats, like Modern Horizons.
I mean, they're not wrong here. They have served a lot of formats with their products.
Commander audience.
That's a good thing. A lot of people can buy the things they need for the decks and formats they want to play. That's fine.
Booster SKUs that we're introducing. We've broadened the tone of what Magic has to offer. Settings like Eldraine or of a lighter
I mean, he's also not wrong here too.
Our, dark and gritty stuff as
Magic used to be super dark and gritty and very comic booky, and now there's a lot of like lighthearted stuff, and you've got Unhinged, which is amazing with casual players.
Invite more people into the fold and make fun stuff that's going to speak to a wider and wider audience to get more and more people part of this amazing game and this amazing community.
Right. This is what I was talking about.
What motivates you? Because you work a lot on Secret Lair and those kind of.
And then I'll skip around after this introduction.
Fun product. They're all fun products, but the interesting things.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, I think a real theme through our thinking and our actions over the last couple of years has been trying to make Magic bigger, which can mean a bunch of different things. For our fans who have been with us for decades, how can we make it even bigger and better for them? For our fans who like, as Aaron said, a specific format or a specific way of engaging.
This is like I said, this is basically them. This is basically them explaining why they do Secret Lair. Just to start off and explain Secret Lair, like that is very condescending and very ignorant of, like, you're not reading the room. You need to read the room. So I'm going to skip this because he basically just explains what Secret Lair is. We already know what Secret Lair is. There are cards online that are typically supposed to be reprints that have interesting art that you want to buy. Like the Tattoo Birds is one of the most incredible portraits of, not Tattoo Birds, but the unique bird art that they have for all the bird Secret Lair. That's the one that I've actually seen people outside of Magic say, oh my God, I want to get these cards. I don't even know play Magic the Gathering and I want to get these. Like, that's a good thing. This is not a good thing. So I'm going to skip that. Mark Hagen keeps talking about it here.
Might otherwise have to kind of wait until, 2 years from now there's a set that might go in. Now all of a sudden we can kind of speed up those timelines.
Right. So he's talking about like they could do tie-ins with sets, but Secret Lairs can accelerate that timetable. They can put things out before that. They don't need to worry about that.
Mark, I want to stick with you because one of the criticisms we've heard recently is that Secret Lair fans thought that what Secret Lair was new art treatments for existing cards.
Right.
And we've said some things in that space. And so what do you say to those fans who believed that that's what Secret Lair was and should be?
Right. Like Magic, Secret Lair will always evolve. Like the game of Magic has been so successful over its long history because it never...
this is cop-out language. Basically... for Secret Lair, it did not have to expand beyond just doing art reprints. You were in the first year of still doing it. You don't have to go and do new cards mechanically, especially stuff that dilutes the IP of Magic itself by having other IPs in it. Those things are fine if you have like Silver Border. They could have done that. And then I understand it would make it so people wouldn't want to play with that stuff. Or you could do it with a changed card back, so it's not an actual Magic card back. They could do that. It's still Black Border, but it's not legal for tournament play. It's legal for your friends' play. Like, that's an easy solution they could do with it. But they're not. And then you're seeing people now already have Glenn wanting to be played in Legacy. Like, this is terrible. Like, because they're like, oh, Legacy humans can now get pushed with Glenn, right? Like, this is not what you want, and they talk about this later. So let me go skip ahead on his explanation here.
Push the boundaries and learn the lessons that we need to learn for the health of the overall game.
They want to push the boundaries with it. It's fine, but not in this way.
All right, Aaron, I was referring to some fan reactions, and obviously we're going to talk about some of the specific ones in a little bit. But generally, when you're seeing reactions like we've seen this week, how does that make you feel? How does that make your team feel that's been working on this product for so long?
It's we certainly inspire a lot of passion through what we do.
That's a very understatement. That's a big understatement.
Stuff. And nobody ever feels good if that's the emotion we're eliciting from people. We are in the business of trying to make fun things that we as Magic players would want to buy and play with,
but nobody wanted Walking Dead mechanically unique cards.
Like this, I've been part of a few uproars in my time working on Magic. Whether it was changing.
Oh, this is where he talks about where he's had to suffer through all the times the game was dying. Now, like, to be clear here, I don't think Magic will die from this. I think Magic will die if they continue to do this and push the envelope by keep printing mechanically unique cards, making them not available down the line. They talk about how they can put them into sets and stuff like that later. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. It'll be in like a supplemental set as a different card, but still, even still, it's going to be very difficult. like you're already tainting now Secret Lair when it was already like super high. Like the people's impression of Secret Lair was extremely high because of what it was doing. And now you've tainted that. You've put Secret Lair into that bin of, well, I guess they could do stuff that people aren't going to like here, as opposed to like regular sets where they print broken cards, which is, you know, something that you kind of expect every now and then. But that's a totally different story about standard and broken cards. The biggest thing here is them printing stuff that you have to buy separately or it's gone. Or they'll never print a version of it until way later. And then you've got people who are playing with this stuff in tournaments because it's black border legal. Commander tournaments, you'll see it at Magic Fests when those resume, stuff like that. It'll just be universally reviled. And I'm definitely sure the Commander's Rules Committee is going to ban this on Friday, tomorrow as of this video. I definitely think that's going to happen. Either that or they'll capitulate and it'll be rough on them, extremely rough on them. I really hope they don't do that. But let's continue.
The rarity scheme.
Past him talking about getting attacked.
But in general, it's just we do want to try stuff. A lot of it's going to be different from what you're used to. I know change is hard. I know, people get used to certain things and they don't like to see those things upended. And I appreciate that very much as someone who's...
You can already tell just by watching Aaron Forsyth here that he really is struggling to let his emotions through. Because...
the game as a whole,
as a representative of the game, you don't want to be hated, right? Like anybody doesn't want to be hated, right? So that feeling of where it's like, I'm feeling that hate, you can see that in his eyes.
Top to bottom, what motivates all of us every single day.
Okay. Mark, so Aaron started talking in this space, but let's get specific. What does Secret Lair look like in the future?
Okay, so they're just going to talk about Secret Lairs and what they'll do with it. Obviously, they're going to do more stuff.
Only direct-to-consumer can really achieve. A different version of that is, I think it's important to keep in mind that we're trying to speak to a huge variety of types of Magic.
Okay, so this is where they talk about... They want to go beyond the usual core audience. They want to go to the casual audience. Like this is where Nintendo might say something to the effect of the blue ocean, where there are old people and younger people that still, or middle-aged people that still don't play our Nintendo games, but we want them to play it. Like that's a valid business strategy. But this company has a history. Wizards of the Coast has a history of trying to serve the people socially. There are lots of LGBT people in the Magic community that are definitely not being served in various other ways, and also other people in the community that are not being served. And you want to go after casuals, which is totally fine, but you have to do it in a way that doesn't anger the core players, the people like us who have been with the game for 10, 15, 20 years. We want to see the game do things in the right way, not in the business way.
Fans and customers and players out there who just engage with the game of Magic and the product of Magic in very different ways. A lot of those customers don't go to gaming stores. That's not part of their life, and that's not where they spend their time, but they still want to be part of Magic. And So here's the thing, like, the only way they can get people to be aware, the casual players, to be aware of the Secret Lairs is to advertise them on other media, right? That are not within Magic the Gathering channels. Because you and I, we go looking for Magic the Gathering news. But other people don't. They're not into the game. But for example, The Walking Dead is going to have their Talking Dead, which is basically where they talk about what they just watched right after, so you can enjoy people's reactions immediately. But of course, they'll be showing off their Magic cards, which is how they're going to get people to be aware that there are Magic cards purchasable for maybe their friends or family members or whoever, and get them into the game. And that's their promotions they're going to be trying to do, where they're basically going to try to get people that aren't even aware of Magic to get into Magic. That's what they're trying to talk about here. That's what Mark's trying to talk about here. Real Magic.
I'll skip ahead a bit, though.
Separate it away from the game and let it live and grow on its own and be awesome in the ways it can be. And so the converse thought was, well, why can't the game then, if it's going to help grow the audience or grow the number of people enjoying it, peel itself away from the intellectual property a little bit and do things differently?
Okay, there's a little bit, and then there's making cards from The Walking Dead that are totally new, that can only be purchased in a secret lair. That's a step too far. A little bit too far, especially with declaring the legality right away without even consulting anybody on the Commander Rules Committee. None of that stuff. They got blindsided by this on Monday. It was nuts.
And strike out on its own and do things differently.
We'll skip around a bit.
And I think when you look around at what our fans have done and what other players have done, heck, what I did when I was in college, I made Magic cards based on NBA players.
They're talking about people making fan cards, and they decided to just do that themselves. Like that.
I don't know, but everyone's got in their head how they would make things they love and put them on.
But that's the thing. Like, I've seen so many people online say these look like fake cards. So they're not even satisfying people that want to have, like, they want to see, oh, my fake character that I made in Magic is actually a real card now. I'm so excited. Like, there are people out there that have that opinion, but those people are marginally low, extremely low, especially within the major Magic the Gathering community. Now, outside casual people, I'm sure they probably did market research and they were like, oh yeah, that is super sweet. I'm into that now. I don't even know what Magic the Gathering is and I want to buy that. And that's not what you need to balance both groups when you do stuff like this.
Onto Magic cards. And so it just seemed like a natural place to go. Anytime we see our fans doing something or enjoying something, we look to see if we can make that more real for them. And
wove into the kind of regular stream of Magic products. So I think Godzilla is a good example of that. We were building the world of
This is where they start talking about Godzilla as basically kind of like a scapegoat here, where they say, well, we've done it with Godzilla. Well, why can't we just make new cards?
Korea, it was kind of a natural fit to the world of Godzilla. And so we took the Godzilla IP and we just kind of tucked it into the Korea product, and we came up with a solution with the two names, and we came up with a distribution model by putting those in boosters, and that made a lot of sense as one experiment to try. That has a lot of advantages. It solves a lot of problems for us, but I think, to be honest, it's not perfect. There's things that the Godzilla approach does that aren't perfect for everyone in the ecosystem. If you're a Godzilla fan who heard that Magic is doing something with Godzilla, that particular approach didn't make it really easy for you to come and show up and get what you wanted. You would have to open a Korea boosters until you found the card you wanted. And so in parallel, we were imagining other approaches. So we said, well, what if we did something more direct, or we built a few cards from the ground up that we could that regardless of what the main sets are doing, regardless of what world we're on, how could we just kind of exemplify a specific character within the rules of a Magic card? And so that was another experiment that we decided.
I mean, it's an interesting creative idea.
We considered a lot of specific partners. We dug deeper. We started talking to AMC and The Walking Dead, and we decided to take the plunge there as our first experiment in this, knowing that we'd also try the Godzilla things, and we. So
just to clarify, Hasbro has the license to everything that Entertainment One does. Entertainment One is the company that owns the Walking Dead IP for licensing, and Hasbro has that license. They basically, I think they own Entertainment One now, so they have the license through that. Plus, they have all sorts of other IPs through Entertainment One. Look it up. It's on. You can find a wiki for it, and that's going to basically give you an idea of what other IPs we might see soon.
Wanted to run both tests.
Okay. Aaron, we're going to move on to talking about one of the biggest pieces of feedback we've received this week about the cards being mechanically unique and black bordered. So that is not something that we've done outside of booster packs lightly in the past. We did mechanically unique buy-a-box cards, which we recently stopped doing. We did the mechanically unique convention and book exclusives, so that's the Nalathni Dragon, Mana Crypt kind of thing.
Oh, this is where I'm going to skip over this part. This is where they talk about their justification for making mechanically unique cards because they've done it before, and they basically said, well, we did it before and we messed up, but we're going to try it again and make sure that these cards aren't as extremely powerful like Mana Vault. Kind of failed at that already if Glenn's already being considered for Legacy.
And we stopped doing that nearly 20-ish years ago or something like that.
Throw in that some people really enjoyed playing with. They were hardly, must-haves for any sort of competitive balance. So we get to move away from the scope of that problem with this secret lair because, number one, they're not standard legal, they're not modern legal, they're not pioneer legal. And it's really harder to accidentally make a card that's good enough to be competitively necessary for Legacy or Vintage. And especially
except
when
they did
at the Commander and casual crowd with these. We're aiming these at a group of people for whom customization, personalization are the driving motivations of why they want to play with certain cards, not strictly power level by any means. And so we get to stay away from the you have to have this in order to be competitive. That is not at all anywhere we want to go with the cards in these products. And instead they're just if this is your jam, go ahead and check it out and get a copy. And if it's not, then that's okay. You have 1,000 other decks you can be building or commanders you could be using instead. As for the book stuff, I mean, it's kind of the same way. Like those cards back in the day were put in the books just to be an extra little sales driver. If you buy this novel, you can send in a coupon.
Yeah, that's where they just justify it here.
And as we may get to later, there are even going to be some safety valves in place should that happen. But it is not the intent. I understand fully that doing something like that is crossing a line that would be pretty infuriating to people. These are supposed to be just fun additional things to try out if you want to in Magic, and
except they're not.
Make you go to a convention to get a card like Nalathni Dragon did. Kudos to everyone that remembered that even existed.
Like you're gonna see these things on commander tables. You're gonna see them in places at Magic Fests where they just won't fit. Like it won't fit, even if they're not legal for other formats that you would see tournaments from. Legacy is still a tournament, but it's not a big group of tournaments, sure. But Commander is extremely huge, and these are legal in that. And I don't think they're going to be legal by the end of this week. Like, I just don't see it. And I really hate the Commander Rules Committee are going to have a fight with Wizards over it, because they're going to want these cards to be legal in Commander. Otherwise, they're just Legacy legal, and that is not going to fly.
It's another, very unimpressive.
I'm pretty incensed about it. You can understand. But I'm respectful of the people.
And
I just don't like the decisions.
There's an opportunity for people to get
I don't think the people are bad. Just the decisions are bad. You can make bad decisions.
For some period of time, we think that there will be a nice supply of them by the time we're all done, and that whoever wants one should have no problem getting one.
And we're going to come back to
before the secret lair goes away.
The reprint issue in a little bit, but Mark, let's go with why The Walking Dead. I mean, you've talked about them being great partners, but there was nothing that forced us to go with The Walking Dead as our kind of first outing in this space.
Okay, so very clearly, just to cover the bases here. Number one, Hasbro owns the license, so it's easy to license the cards. So we had to basically just talk to AMC. Number two, they're about to have a big event that's happening this weekend. So, of course, making these cards and then releasing them, but then we can just ship them later. We can just sell them now, ship them later, which is what Secret Lair is doing. I still haven't gotten my summer super drop as of this video. Then the third thing, of course, money. It is basically all comes down to they know they will get a ton of money from the casual players that will boost them. And, I'm not surprised if it was Hasbro up the chain that did that.
Okay, so why did we choose The Walking Dead here?
Yeah, Walking Dead. So The Walking Dead it's really been a phenomenon. they're kind of winding down this epic run of TV popularity,
right?
And over that run, they have built past that test right away. We kind of
does this fit into Magic's world? Sure, zombies, whatever.
Characters maybe see what it would be like to.
So the whole the whole first part of it was spent explaining what the secret lair was. No apologies, by the way. Explaining away why they can make mechanically unique cards, which is still very difficult to make relevant beyond like, oh, we did it once, we're not going to get it wrong this time. And then the last part was basically why Walking Dead, which everyone knows at this point, you did it for the money from the casuals. Duh.
Going back to you anyway. The probably biggest piece of feedback that we've gotten this week is that
very clear looking at this. Look at this. Look at all three of them. Look at Blake and Mark and Aaron. They are not happy. They are not happy probably because the feedback is so negative, and they have to go on this stream knowing that people are basically going to be calling for their heads. Not Blake per se because he's the PR guy and Mark is the dev, but Aaron is like literally up in R&D. Like he's literally head of a lot of stuff. Like if there's anyone's head that we're going to call for here, it's going to be Aaron's head basically. And, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. Like, I really don't know what's going to happen here. And who knows, right? Who knows?
These could have been done the way we've done cross IP treatments before, either silver bordered or the Godzilla treatment. So, Aaron, why did we not do them those ways?
Well, each of those at the time were the first time we tried that as well. So this was just another.
So the rationale is, you're telling me the rationale is you just wanted to do something different rather than what worked before. That was acceptable within the community. You just wanted to do something different, and you are like, I don't even know if they were expecting negative feedback or not. Because I would have, in there, I would have been like, the player base is not gonna like this.
Another first time to try thing. Silver bordered. I've certainly spent a lot of time talking to Mark Rosewater about this because the silver bordered world is his baby. We talked about
like silver border has the connotation, like it already has a connotation in Magic, right? So anything you put into silver border is supposed to be wacky, right? Wacky, not serious. Players, especially commander players, do not like to play with silver border cards, even though like Unhinged came out with incredibly good, mechanically relevant, mechanically fun commander cards in it. Players still hate it, absolutely hate it. It feels like you're trying to play against a clown, basically, whereas you're playing with your friend. Like, they hate it, and like clowns are terrible. You know, they're always joking around and they're never trying to be serious. And you know, when some people play Commander, they want people to actually try to win the game, not screw around.
You know, between the unsets and the HasCon cards like ponies, they weren't real in people's minds because you weren't allowed to use them anywhere.
Yeah, this is the same explanation.
So went retroactively using your deck. And I'm sure most of you out there are very nice and will let people play their Megatron deck or whatever when they sit down with a silver bordered commander. But you know, it is a barrier, and it's an awkward one, and it's not that fun. And we want to remove that and let people, you know, if they want to build a deck around a certain commander, they can just sit down at the table with whoever, and it's going to be fine, and they're going to get to play it. And I think Mark touched on the Godzilla treatment. There's not like a set in the works where mechanically cards that mapped to these Walking Dead characters was ever going to make sense right now.
So, I mean, this I can kind of understand from a design standpoint, right? Like, these cards aren't as easily mappable because of how you want to show off their character arc or like what they do in the show, right? So like for this, I could see like making these designs. However, they're on a time limit to make these designs to sell them in to tie in with the show's last season, right? And their next show that they want to spin off with this, right? So, like, I understand that. It's just not the right type of product that is going to make Magic the Gathering players happy. It will make casual, non-Magic the Gathering players, the Walking Dead watchers and stuff like that happy, but this ain't it.
So we figured we could do them.
Walking Dead now part of Magic canon, and how can we tell?
No.
That's a dumb question.
And I'm of a metaphor, that the Magic is.
I mean, people are gonna joke about it being part of the canon.
Maybe, in your own games, these characters walk through the door. But as far as our intellectual property, and I know that there are tons of fans of that, and I want to make sure that everyone understands. Wow, are we committed to our own story and worlds and characters? Like,
obviously,
never
I mean, it's very clear that these things would never actually show up in actual Magic sets. Duh. Because number one, they'd have to license the stuff again. Number two, they drive away players in droves because this is not Smash Brothers, the Gathering.
Daryl and his Walking Dead friends are not part of those worlds.
Something we said on day one. Could we ever create Magic-themed versions of these cards?
Yeah, we could, and we certainly might. So
the biggest problem I have with them going, we could make Magic versions of these cards, is basically leaving it out there to say, oh, well, if you don't want to buy these, we'll have Magic the Gathering versions later, but buy these now if you want these mechanics to play with in Commander. No. Don't do that. No.
Darren said before, and we will learn the pros and cons of the kind of Godzilla approach versus this approach, and approaches that we haven't even tried yet, but will come up in the future. So long term, we're going to try different things and figure it out. But in this world, we have safety valves. I just want to reassure people the mechanics on these cards are not exclusive. It's not as though these are in some vault and we can never print these words on a card again.
These mechanics on these cards are exclusive to these cards until you make
Okay, so Mark, I just want to
versions.
emphasize that last point again, so let's get in a slightly different way. Has AMC indicated that they would be open to printing these cards again? Like, this isn't a one-time deal.
Yeah. Just to be clear, these exact cards, these versions, these collectible objects with this art and these frame, these are one-time only. We would only do this version. We want this to be special to this event.
So, just to make sure that you're clear, these cards are only available in the Walking Dead secret lair, nowhere else, unless they get another licensing deal. The licensing deal says here, nowhere else, with these characters on them. They can do the exact same cards in a later set or release or what have you, but it's very clear they're not trying to put those versions out right now. They want you to buy the Walking Dead stuff now.
Beyond that, we're close with AMC, and they right now we're all focused on seeing how this goes and seeing what the demand is. But absolutely, AMC, it's easy to imagine futures where we partner again with.
So, as of this video, they have not released the last card from the Secret Lair, which is obviously the most popular character on the show, Rick Grimes. Obviously, right? So they're holding it back for this weekend to show off because they know even casual people who are into The Walking Dead would be like, oh man, Rick Grimes, it's that dude. I remember that dude. He was like in the first season. Most people have seen the first season, right? Or at least know the main character. Like, as a property, most people know Mario, right? From the Mario Brothers series. Obviously, he's the marquee character. That's what they call them, marquee characters, the face of the franchise. Rick Grimes is the face of the franchise. He is, played by that guy named Lincoln. I can't remember his name, but Yeah, but played by him. And, you know, so everybody in their head knows what he looks like. He's got several different memes that are based around his reactions and stuff in The Walking Dead that people can use. So immediately, if they're going to think, okay, well, what is going to be this Magic the Gathering card? They're going to say, oh, it's going to be Rick Grimes' card, and he's going to have the ability to, like, shoot things with his gun, right? Because that's what he does. He's a sheriff. He shoots stuff with his gun. So what is he going to be, like red, white or something? Aggressive and protective of his people? I'm sure he will be. But yeah, it's very clearly they're holding back the Rick Grimes card so that they can get the maximum impact on this weekend for getting people to buy those cards. And it's honestly kind of disgusting. It really is.
With AMC and create new versions of these same mechanical cards, that's something that they could be excited about.
Yeah, that's how all secret layers work, right? It's when we print Slime Time with that particular art on acidic slime, like that's the only time we're ever going to do that. But if you and we just would like to layer on a couple of these more out there things as we can. You know, our lore and world building is a huge advantage that we have over many others. Creating new content like this with potential partnerships and selling it only direct to consumer through a secret layer drop is not at all the plan.
They're very into doing more IP crossovers. So if you don't like this, please let people know. Please let people know that you don't like this, because they're trying to get this sold to the casual audience, and they're going to do as many IP crossovers as possible with every part of their sets or anything else in the future.
I can easily imagine us making any number of products that might have a partner IP attached to them that would just be sold through our normal channels, you know, into mass market stores, into core hobby stores, and you know, on shelves next to every other fantastic Magic product that you're used to seeing. So it's a wide open world, and we're super excited to see where we can go with it, while at the same time continuing to deliver all of the cool Magic the Gathering characters, worlds, and cards that you're used to getting.
So basically, the message is, core players, we're going to keep delivering stuff from our stories, but for casual players to get into the game, we need to have IP crossovers to make this work.
All right. Well, we're going to end things there.
Yep, and that means I'm going to end things there. So, of course, thank you for watching this video. You can already tell I've got a lot of thoughts about this. This isn't good. It's not good. And, you know, if you've got something to say about it, let me know in the comments below. Let other people know online. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me in my socials down below. Make sure to be here at the Riptide Project Laboratory. This is posted on Thursday night. Friday is when the Commander Rules Committee will be doing their ruling. I'm going to put up a video about that right after that happens. I'm just disappointed. I'm really disappointed. Enjoy the games that you play with your friends, but don't try to push things on us that we have to buy that are mechanically unique in things that are limited time available, even if they're print to demand. They're not print to demand forever. You have to satisfy your license, your setup there with AMC. They probably have a quota they have to sell through, right? Before they would do any more other products or projects or something. It's just not good. But anyway, thank you for watching the Riptide Project Laboratory. I'm, of course, your host, Laboratory Tech 13. And, you know, the research, it never ends. We'll keep on doing more stories about this and stories about other things that are affecting the Magic the Gathering world. And I hope you definitely stay here and subscribe and check out the channel for all my different reactions for things that come out for Magic the Gathering. But I'll catch you later. Goodbye, everybody.